The tragic tale of a jealous man. In a small town nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, lived a man named Samuel and his beautiful wife, Grace. They had met during their university days, and their love had blossomed quickly. Samuel was a hard-working man, known for his dedication to his job at the local factory. Grace, on the other hand, was a nurse at the town's hospital, admired for her kindness and compassion. Their marriage started off blissfully. They enjoyed each other's company, shared dreams of the future, and their home was often filled with laughter and love. However, as time passed, a dark cloud began to loom over their relationship. Samuel had always been a bit insecure, but he loved Grace deeply. His insecurities began to fester when Grace started working late shifts at the hospital. She often had to stay behind to take care of emergency cases, and Samuel found himself alone at home, waiting for her return. Samuel's mind began to wander. He started imagining scenarios where Grace might be unfaithful. Despite having no evidence or reason to doubt her, he couldn't shake off the gnawing feeling of jealousy. He became increasingly suspicious and would ask Grace about her day in great detail, trying to catch any inconsistencies in her stories. Grace, unaware of the depth of Samuel's insecurities, tried to reassure him. She would tell him about her patients and her colleagues, hoping to ease his mind. However, Samuel's jealousy only grew. He began to monitor her movements more closely. One day, Samuel bought a GPS tracker and secretly placed it in Grace's car. He also started checking her phone when she wasn't looking, scrutinizing her messages and call logs. The more he snooped, the more paranoid he became, interpreting innocent interactions as signs of infidelity. One evening, Grace came home later than usual. Samuel, seething with jealousy, confronted her angrily. "Where have you been? Who were you with?" he demanded. Grace, taken aback by his accusation, tried to explain that she had stayed late to comfort a dying patient's family. But Samuel wouldn't listen. He accused her of lying and cheating, his voice filled with bitterness. Tears welled up in Grace's eyes. She loved Samuel and couldn't understand why he didn't trust her. She tried to calm him down, assuring him of her love and loyalty. Eventually, Samuel's anger subsided, and he broke down in tears. He apologized for his behavior, and Grace forgave him, hoping it would be the end of his jealous outbursts. Despite their reconciliation, Samuel's jealousy did not abate. He continued to monitor Grace obsessively, and his behavior became increasingly erratic. He would follow her to work and wait outside the hospital, watching her every move. Grace noticed his strange behavior and confronted him again, but Samuel denied any wrongdoing. One day, while Grace was at work, Samuel decided to take a drastic step. He took a day off from work and spent it following Grace secretly. He saw her talking to a male colleague in the hospital parking lot. They were laughing and seemed friendly. Samuel's jealousy flared up, and he convinced himself that his worst fears were true. That night, Samuel couldn't contain his rage. When Grace returned home, he confronted her once again, but this time his accusations were more vicious. He yelled and screamed, accusing her of having an affair with her colleague. Grace, exhausted and heartbroken, tried to defend herself. She explained that her colleague was just a friend and that their conversation had been harmless. But Samuel was beyond reason. He was consumed by his jealousy, and his anger turned into desperation. Feeling trapped and betrayed by his own mind, Samuel made a tragic decision. In a moment of despair, he grabbed a bottle of pills from the medicine cabinet and swallowed a handful. Grace, horrified, tried to stop him, but it was too late. She called for an ambulance and tried to keep him awake, but Samuel's condition deteriorated rapidly. The paramedics arrived and rushed him to the hospital, but the damage was done. Despite their best efforts, Samuel passed away that night. Grace was devastated. She couldn't understand how their love had turned into such a tragic tale. The community was shocked by Samuel's death, and many couldn't believe that his jealousy had driven him to such a desperate act. At Samuel's funeral, Grace stood by his grave, tears streaming down her face. She loved him despite his flaws and wished she could have done more to help him overcome his insecurities. The town mourned with her, and Samuel's story became a cautionary tale about the dangers of jealousy and mistrust. In the months that followed, Grace struggled to cope with her grief. She sought solace in her work and leaned on her friends and family for support. Gradually, she began to heal, though the scars of Samuel's jealousy and tragic death would remain with her forever. Grace decided to channel her pain into helping others. She started a support group for people dealing with jealousy and trust issues in their relationships. She shared her story, hoping to prevent others from suffering the same fate as Samuel. Grace's support group grew, and she found fulfillment in helping others navigate their insecurities and build stronger, healthier relationships. She became a beacon of hope for many, teaching them the importance of trust, communication, and understanding. Though Samuel's life had ended in tragedy, Grace ensured that his memory would be a catalyst for positive change. She honored his memory by spreading a message of love and trust, helping others to avoid the pitfalls of jealousy and to cherish the relationships they had. In the end, Grace's resilience and compassion turned her personal tragedy into a legacy of healing and hope, proving that even in the darkest times, love and understanding could light the way forward.